Let's check out the phase on these 9 drum tracks. We'll start with the overhead mics. I'm going to zoom in, and I can see that these look just fine relative to one another. The reason I began with the overhead mics is they're going to be the true north for the rest of the drum set, since all the other drums bleed into the overhead mics. To make it easier to hear phase, let's put all the mics in the center, in mono. So all these 9 tracks are now in the center. And I'm going to add a 1-band EQ to all 9 tracks. The 1-band EQ has a phase reverse, so it allows me to flip the phase on anything I think may be suspect. I'm going to solo the overheads, solo the snare top, open up that 1-band EQ on the snare, and let's listen, and we'll flip the phase. What I'm listening for is a loss of bottom, or loss of presence, or some sort of odd type of frequency combination. It just doesn't sound right, but usually it's going to be in the bottom end. Flip the phase on the snare top, and we get more bottom. And again, flip the phase, we get more bottom. So we're going to leave that top snare flipped. Let's check the relationship between the top and bottom snare. And I'm going to zoom in for that. And I can see that we're pretty well reversed here, right? So the bottom is out of phase with the top snare. That means we don't have to do anything with it because we've already flipped the top, which would bring the top back in phase with the bottom, and both of them in phase with the overheads. Let's confirm that. I'm going to reverse the phase on the bottom mic, and we should hear a loss in bottom if I'm correct. And bottom flipped. Yep. More bottom here than here. So we'll leave that out. No phase flipping on the bottom mic. Now the snare is in phase with the overhead mics. Next, let's check the kick. For that, let's solo the kick in with the overheads. Open up the EQ 1-band on the kick and listen. Now let's flip the kick in. And out, in. So we've got the phase flipped on the kick in, and we hear more bottom. Let's leave that flipped. Now let's check kick in and kick out together. For this, I'm going to zoom in. And I can see that these are mostly out of phase with one another. Not 180 degrees, but quite a bit. So because I've flipped the kick in, the kick out doesn't need to be reversed. But let's check that. I'm going to flip the phase on the kick out. You can hear a loss of bottom. More bottom. So we have the kick in flipped, the kick out normal, snare top flipped, snare bottom normal. Next, let's check the snare against the hi-hat. So I'm going to move the hi-hat to the snare drum. All right. I want to zoom in where the snare is actually hitting. This is tricky because the phase is partially but not fully out. Now, I'm not big on shifting tracks to bring the phase in, not for a drum set. So we're going to solo and choose the best option, right, available to us. I feel that shifting a track changes something about the natural order of the drum relationships, right? The relationships of the mics to one another. So I'm not going to do that, not for a drum set. Listen to the two snare mics against the hat, and we want to flip the hat. More bottom. More bottom phase flipped. All right, so we're going to leave that hi-hat flipped, move it back down here. So the hi-hat, the overheads, the snare, the kick, all good. Let's solo the tom, start with the low tom, and listen to the overhead. Let's flip the phase on that bottom tom. And it sounds better to me in phase, a little more bottom. Now, let's flip the phase on the high tom. That's out of phase on the high tom. In. And I don't really hear an audible difference, so I'm just going to leave that. Now let's listen to the whole kit together. And what I'm going to do is bypass all those EQs to go back to the natural order of things, so to speak. So if I hit Option Control, click on one of those EQs, they're all bypassed, and I'm going to go in and out on those. Notice no presence on the snare. And everything sounds so much better with the phase flipped, much more presence. Now that we've got that done, we can start panning things around and developing the drums. So there we have it, correct phase for this drum set.